What's interesting about that too, I wanted to mention that, is freedom is not free. Christ, Jesus paid a price I could not pay. And in the system of the world that we currently live in, there is a lot of deception in why we actually go to war with other countries, why that actually happens. Quite often it's because of false pretense. They're giving us false information, appearing real, fear. False evidence appearing real, I guess that's fear, F-E-A-R. And that's part of what happens. I mean, very few people that I've ever met have a passion to go and blow people up on their own. However, when they get all fired up because of lies that are being perpetrated through the mainstream media, then they'll be ready to go ahead and do that. Especially if you sever some of the manufacturing and jobs in a country and open up the military for opportunities for training and that type of thing, it gets pretty complicated. So you can look into this if you care to. It's the military-industrial complex. That's not all, though. It's artificial intelligence working together to create an illusion that's far different than the reality that we actually live in. Now you're looking at a sea level liquid mirror. This is the Myrtle Beach area in South Carolina. We're expecting about 20 million guests here this year, and it's a symphony of humanity. When I have my beach chair out there and people walk on by, a lot of them will come on up and talk to me, take pictures of my chair, or I'll give them my sticker if they want. You can have a sticker if you care to. All you would need to do is give me a call. My number is public, easy to find. It's on my Facebook and YouTube. If you hashtag my name, that would be a powerful way of helping out with what I'm doing. Hashtag my name or the YouTube channel Truth. Got some equipment left from the beach renourishment team. And I've got a lot of the activity of that. You're looking at the pipeline that would have a flow of sand and water coming out, the equivalent of about 1,500 dump truck loads full every hour, and they operate around the clock. Earlier today I did a recording from, let me see, I'm looking for the location. It would be right about in that area there. That's exactly where it was. That's the Mar Vista right there. So I was down there this morning. And right now I'm at the Sunrise Point at one of our commercial cleaning contracts. I've done recordings here. It's kind of interesting. The world is full of mirrors. What do we look like in the mirror? Now the man in the mirror that I see is one that I'm grateful to be. I'm a free man sharing a message to set others free. The truth will set you free, potentially. I mean, some people will be set free and some people will continually be enslaved to their desire and effort to satisfy it. One of the ironies about addiction is it's never satisfied. We're looking at the Sea Thunder there. I believe that might be a dolphin tour. Quite often they'll slow down when there's a pod of dolphins nearby. I'm looking for them right now. And there will also be jet ski tours. We've got friends that operate Aloha Water Sports. LoveToLiveAloha.com is their website. You can check that out if you care to. So we're at the 50th year anniversary of the moon landing hoax, and I mention that now quite often because it is a big deal. Many people are basing their view of life based on deception, false information, false evidence appearing real. That's one thing. And then there's a lot of, I believe what I would call it is science fiction. It's not real. It's presented as authoritative and factual, and it's not. It's very authoritative. It's just not factual. And so many of us believed the Santa lie. Right now we're looking at the sailboat that ran aground a couple years ago. And when the tide is out, it's more visible, but it's still buried pretty deep in the sand there. Probably not going anywhere anytime soon. I'm going to see if I can bring up the tide app. Higher is drier, obviously, and lower is wetter all over the face of the stationary Earth. Got I got to get that out of the way. Okay, that's my lock screen. I mentioned that you can write down info. It's the hashtag YouTube Truth and my phone number. And so I'm going to open up the Tides Near Me app and show you what we're looking at for tidal activity for today, right now. So the high tide was 44 minutes ago. We can see that it's going out. That's obvious. And so these are the numbers for the day now. The amount of the tide. And so those numbers are real helpful to understand some dynamics with why sometimes we don't see things so clear near the shoreline. There's a lot of water moving around. The tidal activity in Myrtle Beach is about 45 to 50 minutes, almost an hour different than here. And the water is a big clue to the world that we live in. It seeks level, covers the face of the earth, does not conform to an external shape, as in it won't build up on it. You can pour water over a globe, but it's like my beach ball globe, it'll just run off of it. However, it'll fill the water jug. It'll fill the puddles in the roadway, the driveway, or the big puddle that covers the face of the earth, the face of the stationary earth. That's biblical and that's reality. The earth has never been proven to move. If you've got any supposed evidence of that, feel free to submit it. There's what's called a baller challenge. It's a like video. Jay DeCasby and Eric Dubay put it together. And there's specific criteria that need to be met to provide what you believe to be proof, unquestionable proof of the movement of the earth or the curvature. Of course, you're not going to be able to prove something that's not real, not happening. There is no curvature on the horizon. We're looking at the x-axis in the middle of the view now. That's the horizon. And I'm going to pan this down. That's a I'm at about 150 feet in the air or so, and there's no curvature on the horizon. 8 inches per mile squared cannot be found. Cars couldn't drive it, locomotives couldn't climb it, bulldozers probably could. It's about a 30% grade. It's a very steep incline. I've driven from coast to coast, and I've flown from coast to coast. On the flying, just consider this. Supposedly, we would be rotating easterly at 1,038 miles an hour or so at the equator. It's all hypothetical because it's not happening. When I flew from here to California, my combined airspeed would be over 1,000 miles an hour. Like I say, it's hypothetical because we're not at the equator and we're not moving and we're not on a globe. Okay, so then when I flew from California or from California to here, apparently, according to the official narrative, my destination would be rotating away from me more than 500 miles an hour faster than I'd be flying. That would mean it would rotate underneath me about 5 days later with the imaginary 25,000 mile in circumference globe. How about that? And what I found out is the plane time, the time in the air, is about the same. Now there can be layovers. Pay attention to that. I've got a friend, D. Marble, that put a level on his tray in front of his seat. They'll stay mostly level. In fact, to take that same thinking, go ahead and take a bubble level and set it on your window ledge or on your counter. It'll stay still. You could even do it with a glass. You could even do it with a jug. I've got my water jugs right here. Let me, I don't want to move them at all. I want them to stay nice and still. That is a repurposed Crown Royal jug. See how it matches the horizon there? Now this one's pretty full, but the same thing comes into play. What real science is testable, repeatable, actual reality. That's what real science is, and it's not afraid or intimidated by investigation, nor is the truth. The truth is not determined by popular opinion, because it's not necessarily popular. The truth, that is. Now we got some people taking a selfie on the balcony. You know, there's just a symphony of humanity that comes out here. Family reunions, memorializing lives that have transitioned, new life together, marriages, anniversaries, funerals. I meet people from, like I say, all over the world. And it's a tremendous opportunity to help people understand in more detail the reality of the world we live in. So I do say and believe it to be true that the reality is interchangeable with the truth. So this is Wadey's Island over there, where that boat washed up. Right down there is where I was struck by lightning. I was recording 5 surf fishermen that were out there during a storm that came up. I didn't go running after a storm, it just rolled in, and I had driven the motorcycle out to the beach that day, and it started to rain a lot, and I had my computer and camera and phone, and I was broadcasting, and I needed to make a decision. Do I try and pack everything up and I decided to keep on recording. I believed that was what God wanted me to do, and the old me would have thought, oh, God is testing me to see what I'll do. The new me is aware that He knew exactly what I was going to do. He just wanted me to see that and to realize that I'm not afraid anymore to live, die, or tell the truth. So I have collaborated and continue to collaborate with people from all over the world. Some create the content, others share it. They bring their sphere of influence, pun intended. The people they know or reach out to, and with the interconnectivity of the internet, I'll meet people from all over the world face to face, as well as Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, all worldwide. It's amazing. So in the view here, what I want to point out, that's the crab that I've got shown in the view. They'll take that out into the ocean and take measurements, data, and also on top of the bulldozer, there's a corresponding data gathering and operating system that helps create a level surface, and they brought in many yards of sand to create a wider and higher beach. And that sand was pumped up from the ocean, the bottom of the ocean. Actually, they pull it off of the bottom several miles out, somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 or 3 miles out. Let's see, I don't see a boat that I can show you that distance, but it's just real close to the edge of the horizon where we can see it from here. And then they bring it on in and pump it on up and move it around so that we can have the let's show you a family here. Lots of families come here. Met a couple young men from Ohio this morning. And get this, okay, so when whoops, boy, I'm glad I didn't break those. And so when I was loading up my car, the beach services lifeguards, or not, they weren't lifeguards, they were support staff for the beach chairs. These, they have the boxes there with the chairs that they put out like that. I hear a helicopter coming in. I might be able to zoom in on them. But anyway, these young men were in their early 20s from the Czech Republic. And I meet many of them throughout the year. I think that might just be the sound of the boat out there that I was hearing. One of the videos that I show that's kind of unusual, and I'll do it right now, I call it a Veme, and what that is the absurdity of the upside down world, or at any angle. You know, the boat going down, the boat going up. None of that's happening. It's mostly a level plane. The water goes up and it comes back down. Apparently, with what you're looking at right now, it's going the wrong way. So all of our interaction with water exposes the absurdity of the globe. That's the reality of that. We don't have upside down wind chimes. People taking showers upside down in relationship to each other. That's silly. And it's not reality. It's not happening. None of that is happening. With technology that they say exists with satellites and the telescopes and all that, they should be able to show us that. Well, they don't. They can't, because it's not real. There's up and down, not upside down in relationship to each other. There's a firmament, which is a structure above the earth that separates a massive amount of water above this level plane. And I know there's elevation above and below sea level. Mount Everest is about 5.49 or 5.5 miles above sea level. But most of the water that covers the face of the earth is level. And it's seeking its level. That's what it does. That's what's happening right in front of us. That's why I said at the first Flat Earth Conference, we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello, it's just water seeking its level. Or, another one of my lines that I believe to be true, do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? No gyrating going on. Look at that. Isn't that fun? The energy of a young dad, looks like. I was one. I was that age exactly, I'm sure. I'm 57 now. We've got 3 adult sons. We came out here to enjoy the beauty and majesty of this, all of their lives. Look at that. Then when we moved to Wisconsin, I would take toboggans and pull them behind a Jeep in the snow. Whole bunches of them. Their friends and all that. I've covered vaccinations on my liked videos. Vaxxed, you can look it up. The harm that's being caused by the medical industrial complex. The brainwashing that's going along and the peer pressure that accompanies that is, I believe, to be criminal. That's why I talk about it. It's a big deal. It's a big deal because people are basing some of their most important decisions on false information, on lies, and then peer pressure. Peer pressure doesn't exist only in school. You step out of line at the job, you can get a call into HR. They might say you need to move on. You're not going to comply with our corporate culture, and yeah. If you don't go with the flock, if you don't run with the herd. And there. So what I'll do is simply make the content available and encourage people to explore that content. A variety of documentaries and my mentioning it as well. The artificial intelligence that is operating all over the face of the earth is powerful, and well, it's going to be deadly to many when the mark of the beast is unleashed on humanity with mandatory cooperation. I could see him approaching jet skis. Personal watercraft. I'll back all the way out so you can get it's easier to see the reflections on the water, but they almost vanish with the optics of the camera, unless I zoom in on them. As troubling as autonomous weapons can be to consider, that means they can operate on their own, and that we also have an infrastructure, including the generation and power distribution of the world, that can be interrupted selectively in locations to cause difficulty, to cause mayhem. Look at power outages, floods, their weather wars. They're modifying the weather. In the Midwest this past winter, we had 110 below wind chill. Imagine what would happen in those areas if their power was interrupted for a week. A lot of those people wouldn't have survived it. And then they can just turn the power back on and occupy if they want. Population reduction is not just about contraception and abortion and what's called euthanasia, ending a life early, maybe of an elderly person. We're talking about hobbling humanity with toxic chemicals in the food, water, and the air. So how will you deal with that? I would encourage you to seek the truth with all your heart because it matters for eternity. That's a long time to regret, so I encourage everybody to hear, share, and of course, obey God's Word. My YouTube Truth playlist, I've got an audio Bible merged with the beauty of creation. Many sunrises captured with that. In the winter, the sun comes up over there. In the summer, it comes up over there, over the stationary plane, stationary earth. Job 37 talks about the sun in the midst of the clouds, where it appears many times on my recordings, and also Joshua 10, God caused the sun to stop moving. You can research that if you like. So the stationary, mostly flat earth is biblical and reality. Thanks so much for your public and private encouragement. This is Robert Forsch with the YouTube channel.